from several collections. Just a couple poems each, don't be scared, okay? And I just want to name the collections. Of course, the Runaway Poems is the latest. Some of the others are not published. The only other one that is published is A Most Improbable Life, and you're welcome to look at the books. I brought both poetry, and all of these books are not mine. There's some where I have poetry. There's some literary criticism. 2 of them are literary criticism on mine. But I just thought it would be interesting that you saw what I did. The names of the books are The Runaway Poems, Sustainable Humanity, How Many Indians Can We Be, A Most Improbable Life. My last one that I'm finishing up now is Kneading Words, Amasando Palabras, and Amor, Aliens, Allies, Accomplices. And I write both in Spanish and in English. So it depends what some poems begin in Spanish, some begin in English. And but I do translate them. Last spring in April I gave some readings in Spain. And that was hard because I felt like I was really rewriting my poems in Spanish, the ones that were written in English. Anyway, enough talk. I will read you a couple of poems. Of course, I will begin with the poem, and it's Valentine's Day. So I tried to concentrate on love, right? But politics are love, and love are politics. But I have to begin with Your Silver Lining Is Not Limited to Me, which is the one that Mayor honored me. I was like sitting there dumbfounded. Oh my gosh, she did all this work to carve my poem out. Nobody had ever done that for me. I was so amazed and just so beautiful. Because I love you, on a deserted island that is life, I will write to you a letter with a roll of toilet paper. I will write on a cloud for you like the Chinese women brocaded their lovers' shirts at night. To not hurt you, I will write of my love for you on dirt. I will mail to you an archive of newly felt kisses through the internet of my heart, until you know that stars are the shadowed visions of your palpitating words. You are the ring on the broken finger that holds it together. Your silver lining is not limited to me. Of course, my love is back there, Eric Muhs. And I also wrote, I thought I would read a poem of love to our dog. I didn't really know what true love was until... And I know Mare, I'm reading this for Mare also because, my mother was like, dogs, no. We're not going to feed the dogs. Right? Forget it. Money on dogs? No, So I once had a rabbit, Pascasio, and when we got home, and my father brought it home from the fields, he was a field worker, and he said, oh, if he were a little bit fatter, he'd look much better. So my sister and I fattened up Pascasio, and you know what's happening next. And then we came home to find him one afternoon, and he was, fried. Yes. And we both started crying, this black little bunny, and my father said, oh, les voy a hacer una bolsita, I'll make you a little purse with it. So that was my encounter with pets. So I would look at all these weird people here in Seattle with their dogs, picking up poop at Green Lake, and I thought, oh my gosh. And then there I am. I'm one of those people. But now I understand you, Marin. I'm much closer to you. Now, please sit down. Please join us. You don't have to stand. So this is the hard love of a dog. Because he lived in the street, he knows how to ask for meanings without words. How to nurse milk out of concrete, water out of wood. How to play with the same love differently. How to sniff out the unbearable endings. Chewing to think, an empty bowl speaks for your needs. Chewing the thing that most threatens your survival. Starving to understand from within the acute sentiment of life. The lickings of love unlimited. The layered significance of bone gnawing. Endless communications of sighs and whimpers. All signed by your saliva. I'm not going to do that. No. Let's just read a couple of short more ones from here. Billboards. Until light comes, we remain like Braille to a baby. We might be blind and not know it. Further than thunder, undetermined yet by their ways, with laughter, appreciation, love, we are lit. Someone understands that our message won't be read in the darkness of politics until light comes and blood retains the remainders of memory. And I'll just read Domingos, Sundays. It is not what we lose each Sunday that we fear. It is what we don't see that mesmerizes us. The post office closed. No happy person about to mail a present that makes him, her generous. No mother saying goodbye as if for the first and last time. 181 mornings a year. No mailman dropping by the mailbox of people he will never see, whose faces he scrutinizes through the letters they receive. It is not what we lose each Sunday that we fear. The goodbye kisses, the rushed affection floating by, the lattes we give ourselves on weekday mornings, a settlement for loneliness. The hugs we hug, the empty pens we find that we must toss away, inkless forever. The intimate mornings with our cars, the conversations of commuting spirits, the trust that we are in fact capable of living one more day away from those we love. It is the loneliness of Sundays, oftentimes without the Holy Spirit, the Sunday paper, the exercise week, the talk with ourselves in which we lose one of the people we carry inside. I'm going to read one of the poems, just one from A Most Improbable Life. It's called The Anthropologist, just to give you a little taste of this book. All he wanted was skeleton to count the bones, one bone for every day he loved, left without uttering a word. Should we really be shaped in the image of curves like Chevys in the 50s, immune to squares or lines, symptomatically spiral, glowing in the dark for love to stretch the truth from us? All he wanted were the smiles of non-fleshed us in skulls with perfect teeth before they could hurt, with muscles eliciting words. He wanted bones he could heal from the solitude of dirt, Bones he could line up like notes before the composer, notes that could be heard by looking, notes that didn't end at the beginning, love notes to give his lover. Mexicans would say he loved her bones, but the anthropologist couldn't. Because really what he loved was the image her bones imprinted on the spirit, the image of love before it's disinterred. This is a poem I wrote for my friends, and my very dear friends, Teresa and Maria, are here today. This is for you.
Wow.
Orange and red. Tangerines and roses, you say, as if life began with orange and red. It is not the orange in the word anaranjado that surprises the senses, or the red of birds, roses, or strawberries that whispers that love is abundant. It is the red, it is the orange, it is the smell of tangerines and roses that embraces our essence. It is what reds and sunrises, sunsets, and hearts bring out in a hand of love. It is the tastes that count, the love noises they make when they explode in your mouth. Life does begin in a mouthful. And this is for teachers, and I know there's several teachers here. So this, I was hoping it would be full of teachers, but this is called Windows. The word is a safe place, I learned in the 3rd grade. The world is not a safe place, I learned in an inner city school in Chicago, where Miss Carr, my indomitable teacher, told me that I was not mousy or poor, because she had grown up poorer than I, and with more brothers and sisters. She said, "You are as strong as I am," and I believed her, while we read Julius Caesar with an African-American accent. The world is an accordion full of endless adventures, Mr. Sullivan said as he came over to our dilapidated migrant camp to fill out FAFSA paperwork with my mom, who fed him everything she knew how to make unforgettable. While he, blushing and flustered with a Chile Colorado, drank milk full of adventure, he said, and I believed. They were my windows, never broken, never, never, never concealed, camouflaged or muffled. Windows speak with one gaze, like teachers. So much. I'll read now a couple of them from, so much to read. From The Dead, which is, from How Many Indians Can We Be? And I want to read The Dead because I also have funny poems. You're not the only one that can make everybody laugh. When I went to India, I thought I was very cool. This is in 2011. I was one of 3 poets that represented the U.S. And so I arrived with my boxes of salmon from Bartels, right? And I thought, everywhere I went, even to Chile, where I was really just taking water to the river, because they also have salmon. But I would arrive with my Bartels jams and, and salmon, and I was so cool. And then I got to India. And first of all, at customs, they wanted to take my boxes away. They wanted to open them. And what I did is that I sat on the big army bag and I said, "No, you are not opening this." So I sat, I protected the salmon. These were my gifts to these people, right? They let me go when I finally showed them the program. This is how, so you know that poets are important in other parts of the world. Nothing mattered that I was a professor, that I was, coming from the United States, that I had gifts. But when I said, I'm a poet, and here's, the program where I'm reading, they let me go. They brought me tea and cakes. And so I arrive to my friend's house. This is after reading at the event, and I was bringing all these gifts to my friend Nalini's mom, who was housing me in the south of India. And I found out how wrong I was, right? And this is an absolute cultural faux pas. Because a lot of the people in the south are not only vegetarian, they're vegan, right? So here I was arriving with my little tombs, right, on my little boxes. And I would see my friend's mom, who probably weighed 90 pounds, and every day my bag, my army bag, it wasn't an army bag, but it looked like it, was a little bit closer to the balcony. And so she had been moving it out, right? She didn't want those dead fish in there. But I wrote, I hope my collection comes out. It's being vetted right now several places, but one of the poems that is fun, so I can compete with you, Mayor, is The Dead. And you can laugh, yes. In my stomach, like virtual crosses, lie the hundreds of entombed chickens. Dozens of cows, hundreds of pigs in the shape of sausages, carnitas, meatloaf, a ham, 200 beef patties, 2 baby lechones, jamón serrano, a pigeon, an iguana, a snake, one side of deer, and even hundreds of chapulines. That's grasshoppers. I consumed before Mary's little lamb. Humiles. Humiles are chocolate-dipped ants. Lapin au pruneau, canard à l'orange. They are the sacrificial lamb of the conquest, my scarlet letter. I also wrote manhood. Manhood exhibited on the street, men buying tasmak. Tasmak is a fermented fruit drink. Drinking, holding hands tenderly in a tic-tac-toe of life with their friends in a square in lungi. Lungi is a skirt. Touching different parts of the loved friends' bodies to not lose contact with their hearts. Squalid dogs and holy cows watching envious from the road. Except the astounded dog who could no longer walk. Passerby tourists watching envious from the cars. Intimacy, a difficult product to export. Feminine manhood not yet patented by the West outside of stadiums. My eyes skip the beat. My humanity is in diapers in India, where people understand. And I lost the last page. Okay. That's fine. I think I'll go into my newest work now. Do I have any more time or am I done? Couple minutes? Okay. I have to read you Las Casas because my son insisted that this is what I had to read to you today, so I have no choice. Las Casas. The houses that raised me were complicitous in teaching me to see the world with bifocals. The house in Pájaro on Brooklyn where we defrosted the Thanksgiving turkey for mole by throwing it up and down the stairs is also the house where I learned figs are provocative and sensual. I made jelly out of them. On Cayetano, I found out that mental, emotional, physical disabilities were all sleeping in the wood of the walls that held us from rain and cold, and can wake up 30 years later with privilege. The Buena Vista migrant camp, where a man fried eggs on his car motor every morning, is where I learned community organizing. At 8, I was the only licensed child care provider. The house on Privada de Volantín in Durango gave me a kiss at 12 that has lasted a lifetime. I also learned that Jell-O can survive outside the fridge, among many other miracles of life and the body. The house in Ciudad Juarez, the city where young girls' nipples were to be made into key rings years later by narcos, taught me that my mother could make water and food out of sand with her love. And a transistor radio. On Juan N. Subirán 1212, where our house was lower than the rest, I learned dignity is carried mostly by your neck. In El Rancho in Mexico at my uncle's, I learned to kill a pig with a knitting needle by going for its heart. I found out that a pig could kill you with a smile. On 1600 Campus Road in Ray Otero's sociology class, I researched that it is not about the color game, but about whether or not you have a car. On West Beach, I discovered that a bookcase made with 100 screws will not get you love. The house on Kearney is where we learned you have to die and be buried in a closed casket in small-town America with horror of AIDS in the 80s when we buried him. Near the owner's house, in the apple orchards, I learned to cover my mouth before dirt made it its property. At 22 Sutton in Watsonville, I saw children having children, desperate to save in a child the beauty of their parents' wishes. Shelled up children, while they could, by the women working 3 jobs unscathed, triumphant, to feed their little gods, coffers of the future. That's it. I won't read you. Maybe I'll read you a couple of... How much time are we done? Oh, okay. Okay. What I'm doing with this collection is with the cars and the houses and the shoes, is that I'm eliminating the border, and I'm really trying to show about the porosity of the border, because my family has always lived on both sides of the border, and that all these things happen on both sides. And so I'll read you a couple from Mourning My Cars. Mourning My Cars is very, very long, and really, there's no real way to say carros tendidos. Tender un cuerpo is to lay out a body for a wake. But since we don't really do that, we have visiting hours for bodies, but we don't accompany them. Now, when I understood that very well when my mom's little Datsun, and what she wanted was, she wanted a place for it to rest. And this is why a lot of people have cars in front of their houses. But we don't understand that. We make fun of them. And so that was what I was trying to bridge, that understanding of knowing that when you don't have much, a car is a person. and that you lay them out and that you want to have a grave for them. But we mainstream Americans don't understand that. Mourning my cars. The 53 Chevy is where we learned poop across the desert. My father, illiterate conductor of the car with the impeccable driving skills of necessity. My mother, reading signs in the Spanish of English. A know-it-all, the navigator of life to Mexico. Black Ford Galaxy 500. With your starched shirt, father, ready for banda nights in Juarez, you cross the desert with your unwanted tail, your pregnant wife and daughters. I would be the culprit if the car stopped. You had asked me to string up English, and in my best 6-year-old English of migrant camps, had told the salesman, my daddy need car, not stop. 25 horas a Mexico. Placing a quarter from my little purse in his hand. 25 horas a Mexico. That was my first win of life. I knew many people would recline on my words. So proud of myself when we arrived in Juarez and you dropped us off your dead weight at the vecindad where your mother lived. To go drink 24 hours straight worth of driving. I also drank canela con buñuelos to celebrate my triumph with my tíos. I had tamed the English language to buy you a car. And it lasted 4 lives of memories. Ford pickup truck. It was an old pickup truck that killed my littlest cousin. Revenge in my eyes. I throw darts with my sight as you pass and cultivate a long list of criminalities for your drivers. They know not what I carry inside for the beds of pickup trucks. Because if he had not been way in the back, sitting on the ledge, he would still laugh with us. Nestor. Brown Toyota station wagon. On Valentine's Day, we were alone in the desert. Music was the culprit of our crash. The 81 Toyota station wagon you drove every day to work died in the sand. After a hot tub romantic dinner. We had no cash, no checks, no credit cards, only your camera to pawn to leave Las Vegas. We were naked with love and a new finance scale in our hearts. We understood that interminable night, that what it feels like to be telling the truth to empty faces, void of compassion. We understood that we only could grow our love the size of a house that could be sufficient, perhaps, with our trust. We understood the value of plastic. I'll leave it at that. I will just close with this. This is a poem I wrote today, and it's about 30 seconds. I was reading a paper by Erlinda Gonzalez, who's in Oregon. And she writes about what they called Mexicans. And they called Mexicans honing pigeons. And I was trying to theorize that this is in the 30s, where they were trying to eradicate the $8 tax because they needed workers, but they were not bringing workers from other places, so they wanted to bring Mexicans, but they wanted to undermine that they needed Mexicans. And one of the politicians actually came up with, and I was thinking how interesting, because there's that wonderful song, Paloma Errante. In Spanish, you know that song? You know it?
I've heard it.
You have, and we'll belch it out, no?
Haz la segunda, ¿no?
Como paloma que vaga errante sin rumbo fijo ni dirección, así atravieso los ríos y mares, sin mar ni abrigo ni protección. And it goes on, how I left my land to come and be here, and I'm nothing. So this is the beginning of Honing Pigeons. And I thought that song would be so great in the background. And this is some of the quotes. They were lesser than white, not a threat at all, would not stay and could not go. Compared to white men, they would take flight, eat grain upon simply ordering them, go work, pay. No challenge at all. Thank you. I made some copies of an interview that they gave me and published here. They're in the back. So you can take it. There's a few more poems in mine. Thank you. That last poem really got me thinking of my father.
Yes.
And I want to thank Mary again for the beauty. So please look around, talk to us, look at the books, enjoy.
Thank you.